Einstein said this. Albert Einstein was a pretty smart guy. He came up with the theory of relativity, equals mc squared, and photons. And that's all well and good. But back in 19th century Switzerland, he was considered an idiot. Well, he excelled in maths and physics, but the German education system was so regimented that it wasn't taught any subjects outside of maths, science, and engineering. So when he tried to get a place in the Federal Polytechnic Academy in Zurich, he flunked every single one of his entrance exams, apart from maths and physics. One might imagine the Swiss asking Einstein to go back to Germany and take your stupidity with you. Well, that's how I imagined it anyways. The fact of the matter is, Einstein was improperly judged because back in 1895, and even today, people have a very narrow view of what intelligence is. Hence, his quote. And that got me thinking. When I was 11, back in year 7, we learned about the VAK learning styles: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. The topic area was quite brief, but after doing some research, procrastinating instead of doing my homework, I came across the creator of VAK, Dr. Howard Gardner, who was an acclaimed psychologist, and his most influential piece of work was the multiple intelligences theory. This was made up of 7 different intelligences, and it was thought-provoking, because it completely shattered the "you're not good at maths, so you're stupid," or the "you've got a high IQ, so you're smart" way of thinking. He, like Einstein, knew that different people were good at different things. For example, Einstein would easily fit into the logical mathematical division. People who are number smart usually go on to doing things like finance, engineering, and medicine, and they're often good analytical thinkers of science as well, like Dr. Stephen Hawking and Isaac Newton. Whereas linguistically intelligent people are word savvy. They love anything to do with talking or communicating. They're the lawyers, politicians, and writers of the world. And often, these are the guys that teachers have to keep telling to shut up in class. Next, musical intelligence. Some musical geniuses would be Beethoven, Mozart, perhaps Louis Armstrong, and of course, the greatest musician of our time, Taylor Swift. Oddly enough, musically intelligent people don't actually go on to become professional musicians, well, in most cases. The skills that they learn from music, such as hard work, discipline, practice, and rigor, can often be applied to other fields, such as maths and computing. This is how to use your strengths to build on your weaknesses, or at least on subjects that you're not as good at. But I'll get onto that later. Next, we have bodily kinesthetic intelligence. People who are bodily intelligent are people who are good with physical movement and physical experience. So Ken Robinson, in one of his TEDx talks about a girl in the 18th century who just could not stop fidgeting. Everybody thought she was completely mental. Turns out, she just liked dancing. So dancers, athletes, football players, and tennis players are prime examples of people who are physically intelligent. Spatial visual intelligence is probably my favorite one. People who are visually intelligent love creating things that are just aesthetically pleasing to them. Amazing buildings, thought-provoking paintings, and dynamic photos are their creative highs. The famous artist Rembrandt had an IQ of 160, which was the same as Einstein's, yet he went on to become an artist rather than a physicist. Does this show that the IQ system is not specific enough, and it's just as flawed as how the idea of intelligence was back in Einstein and Gardner's days? I'll leave that up to you. Next, we have interpersonal intelligence. This is the ability to understand people, to emphasize with people. People with an abundance of this type of intelligence often have a high emotional quota, or EQ, which is something that employers are really looking for nowadays. They love people who can just work in a team and work successfully in a team. Whereas, intrapersonal intelligence is probably the most obscure out of Gardner's models. is the ability to understand successfully your own goals, your own abilities, your own aims and your own successes and failures. Arguably, anyone can be intrapersonally intelligent. You just have to go on a lifetime of learning, probably take a pilgrimage, find your power animal, and detach yourself from all the worldly materials. I'm kidding, but you really do need to delve into yourself and discover how you'd react in certain situations if they ever came about. And that is the only way to improve your intrapersonal intelligence. Howard Gardner also outlined the relationship between the type of intelligence we have and the type of learning we have. For example, if you had a person that was really, really weak physically, but incredibly strong mathematically, they might be best encouraged to increase their physical activity by learning more about the mathematical and scientific relationships between exercise and health, rather than forcing them to do karate or swimming. The key is to use your strengths to develop your weaknesses. Your strength is a good learning channel. Your weakness is not a very good learning channel. Everybody loves working in their area of expertise, in their area of skill, and by applying that to a weakness, they can become more fulfilled, more confident in themselves for succeeding in something that they didn't think they could succeed in, and less stressed about doing something in a way that doesn't work for them. Everybody in this room, everybody in the entire world is good at something. And whatever we're not good at, we have the ability to improve on. So I'd just like you to think about what type of intelligence or types of intelligence that you have, and whether IQ, EQ, BQ, and any other type of Q is even important. We're not all geniuses in the traditional sense, but according to Einstein and Gardner, perhaps you just are. Thank you.